Hey everyone, Wydek welcoming you to Game 4 of a Best of 5 series from the final of the Lake Charles Scion Esports Thanksgiving Open. Possibly the longest name I've ever heard of for a tournament that was recently played in December in Louisiana of all places. And this time on Derelict Watcher, we've got spawning in the bottom left as the Purple Terran, representing Complexity Gaming. We have QXC. QXC is facing quite a large challenge as he is down 2-1. And it is match point for his opponent, spawning in the top right as the Red Terran. Representing IVD Gaming, we have Apocalypse. It's a very interesting play by Apocalypse to start this game. He's building the supply depot so very close to his command center. A la Bomber in a lot of ways. Bomber likes to really build his buildings really close to get the few extra minerals out. Because, you know, people don't think of the fact that, you know, when you move the SCV over to the ramp to build things, you are losing a little bit of mining time. So, but you do get the safety of blocking off the entrance. So, Apocalypse is not going to be doing that. It looks like QXC sort of doing a semi-block off. I find that the builds of QXC and Apocalypse are a little bit strange because they kind of do the block off, and they're kind of not doing the block off. But I mean, they are pro players, so they know what they're doing. So here on Derelict Watcher, I mean, this is a very, very big map for two people. This is a very large area to engage in around this center area. It has a large area to engage in. So in a TVT, it's going to come down to who has the better positioning. You don't want to get caught, for example, like some of your units going down this way and then some of your units going this way and your opponent has all his units over here, because then they'll be able to kill your smaller size army and then pick off the rest. So it's going to be up to positioning to figure out who's going to win this game. Now, Apocalypse is going to spot that factory, and QXC's SCV isn't going to be able to spot that barracks, but nothing else. So you may be wondering what is going on in Apocalypse Town, as there should be another structure. But I think once that Reaper is revealed, I think QXC will know exactly where those extra minerals went. That Reaper is jetting very quickly over to the left side of that map. And blocking off this area is not going to prevent the Reaper from coming in, but it does help, because then the Reaper it won't have another entranceway. Actually, it looks like the Reaper will pick off the scouting SCV, so that's a pretty good pick off by Apocalypse. But if this area is blocked off, you might be saying, well, there's no reason to block it off. The Reaper can jump up the ramp. That's true, but it does stop one entranceway for the Reaper, and basically the only way the Reaper can come up to the main area is here. So if the Marines are stationed here, the Reaper will have a difficult time getting up. But Apocalypse is not even going to bother, as the previous games, if they are of any indication, moving in the Reapers there would be fatal, as they know exactly what's going to be coming. So Apocalypse is going to not move that Reaper in there, as the 3 Marines are already in position. Now it looks like we are going to be transferring over to Banshee play for QXC once again. It didn't work out in the last few games where he went for it. And Apocalypse himself may be going for, yeah, it looks like Banshee play as well. So both players are thinking the same thing. Sort of like Kerrigan. You know, once I said, I'm thinking, you know, I don't know if you've played Starcraft 1 and you have Sarah Kerrigan, you click on her sometimes and you get her to do something, she'll say, thinking the same thing. And then once I said that, the good old memories of Starcraft 1. It's a really, really good game. In my opinion, better than this game. But Starcraft 2 is a good game in its own right. So it looks like we are going to be opening up with 2 Banshees here, though. And this is interesting because QXC in the last couple games went for Banshee first, and then a Raven right afterwards. This time he's opting for 2 Banshees. And Apocalypse is actually not going for Banshee play. I misread it. In fact, he's going to be going for Siege Tanks. Interesting. Trying to get that early lead in the Siege Tank count, as Siege Tanks are very vital in the TVT matchup, obviously. Now Apocalypse is going to be able to get that missile trap at the natural. Already has one up at the main. So that Banshee will only be able to pick on the really far the farthest SCVs away from the missile turret. Able to pick off one missile turret, but taking a couple shots from that missile turret. So that Banshee's already damaged a little bit. At the same time, we already have a Viking out for Apocalypse, and I don't think this Banshee's going to be able to do too much. Now, remember, this Banshee does have Cloak, and there is a second Banshee on the way. And it looks like this first Banshee is going to Cloak. Able to focus down on some of those SCVs mining at that refinery. They will withdraw. And it looks like one Marine will go down as well. This Banshee is continuing its attack. Able to fire volley after volley, basically unimpeded. But if a scan does go down here, this Banshee could go down very quickly. The second Banshee has already arrived. And generally what I see players do is they split up the Banshees. It makes it difficult for the opponent to defend, as they have to use two scans, for example, to deal with two Banshees in two different locations. But it is harder to control as the attacker as well, so there are both advantages and disadvantages. This first Banshee is still firing down on these SCVs, but now with the Raven here, this Banshee really needs to get out of there. The cloaking technology is about to go down, but not before the Banshee goes down permanently. And with only a few kills on that Banshee and one on this one, I don't think it's really been worth it for QXC. So I believe QXC is quite a bit behind now. And that is very unfortunate, because when you commit to the Banshee play, you do have to kill quite a few SCVs, otherwise you're instantly behind. And I really do feel that QXC is behind now, even though resources lost is not that much different. Supply is fairly even. I still think QXC is down by a little bit. So the third command center is almost finished for Apocalypse. And it looks like QXC is moving across the minimap. He wants to stay aggressive. He has Hellions here. And he also has a forward Widow Mine. But I don't think Hellions can do very much against siege tanks and a bunker full of units. So QXC will not be able to do too much. Now, you may be saying, what's the point of having the units here if they're not going to do anything? At the very least, you can pick off, well, scouting units immediately. But at least you know that there are no ground forces moving towards your base. Because if you're in your base and your opponent's in his base, and the opponent wants to attack you all of a sudden with a lot of ground forces, you have no idea it's coming. By hanging out at the front door, you do know when ground forces will be coming. Now, obviously, if the opponent wants to use air units to circumvent the routing, then it's not going to help very much. But it is what it is, and it looks like Apocalypse might be moving out here. Now, I think QXC should withdraw, as Apocalypse does have superior numbers here. He also has range superiority through that siege tank. And that is going to force the Hellions back just a little bit. At the same time, this Banshee from QXC is going to go down. So the second Banshee goes down, basically not doing very much. And now with Apocalypse getting his third base up and running, this is a very bad sign for QXC. QXC needs to do damage to one of these bases, either killing a lot of SCVs or destroying this orbital command. Otherwise, he will be behind economically very quickly. Now, it looks like in this game, this is interesting, Apocalypse is going to be going for Infernal Reigniter, as well as weapon upgrades, as well as Hellbats. This is really strange. I haven't seen Hellbats in a while, but with that Blue Flame upgrade, they are very, very effective. I don't know if you guys can remember 4 or 5 months ago when everybody was using Hellbats and they could two-shot workers. That was a really strange time. But now, now that you need that Infernal Reigniter upgrade, and now that Apocalypse has it, those Hellbats are very, very good against miners. And we do have 2 on the field. We are getting 2 more as well coming out of that reactor. They are very inexpensive units, only 100 minerals each. So Apocalypse is building a very fiery army, literally. Now, QXC has been able to get his third base up and running. He is patrolling feverishly with that Raven and 3 Vikings looking for medevacs. But there are no drops coming as of yet. We have weapons, mech weapons upgrades being researched as well from QXC. But it looks like Apocalypse will have the upgrade advantage, as he already has +1 weapons finished. The Widow Mine is going to be able to kill 1 Marine, but not much else. And Apocalypse is going to be moving across the map. There are Hellions on both sides scouting throughout the map, taking control of that Zelnaga tower. But I think QXC is going to lose 2 Hellions here if he's not careful. Yes, he will lose both Hellions. That wasn't really a good deal. And look at that supply. It's 20 in favor of Apocalypse. And Apocalypse is very strong now. Now, QXC has a lot of Hellions in the middle map. He's got 12 Hellions here. Able to pick off that 1 free Marine. Why not? He's got his own Infernal Preigniter. Another Marine does go down. So QXC is just keeping tabs on exactly where Apocalypse is and the size of his army, and that is a really, really good thing to do. That is the key to success, figuring out what your opponent is doing and where. Now, this medevac is coming back. Apocalypse is going to have a tough time dropping medevacs, dropping Hellbats from those medevacs, as there's so many Vikings here, as well as missile turrets going up. And we do have a perimeter of a whole bunch of missile turrets at that main base as well. So I don't think we're going to see a lot of Hellbat drops in the near future. Not until, well, maybe I'm wrong. If you got 3 medevacs, it might not matter how many missile turrets you build. And I do want to see that. I want to see the Hellbat drops. I haven't seen them in a long time. QXC is moving towards the middle map again with his pack of Hellions. Just moving back and forth, just keeping tabs on what Apocalypse is doing. Now, it looks like the scan is going to go down. QXC can see the entire army of Apocalypse. Apocalypse is going to stampede forward now. And I guess what you can do, and what Apocalypse is doing, is he has 4 medevacs full of Hellbats. And Hellbats are very slow compared to their Hellion counterparts. But if you put them in medevacs and you boost, then they're quite quick. So I understand exactly what Apocalypse is doing. But QXC is going to siege up in the middle of the map. At the same time, he's going to get +1 weapon upgrades, so if this goes on for a while longer, QXC might get the upgrade advantage. But it looks like Hellions have been able to sneak through, able to take down a lot of SCVs over at that 3rd base, killing 12 in total now for the entire game. 15 up to this point, but all those Hellions will go down. So the supplies are still in favor of Apocalypse. Resources lost is fairly even, so I do think that was a good pickup by QXC, doing economic damage to his Terran opponent. But at the same time, we have a Hellbat drop at that 3rd. The missile turrets only able to do some damage to that medevac, but it looks like this Hellbat is not going to survive. It has +2 attacks. It will be healed by that medevac, but now that medevac can just stay in the air. But it looks like we do have another medevac drop at the natural, but that medevac will be destroyed. So a few more SCVs traded off. So we do have Hellbat drops from Apocalypse. They're not super effective, but able to do some damage. Supplies are actually in favor of QXC, but now Apocalypse does have his 4th base up and running. So I gotta give the economic edge to the South Korean over the American. So both players are pretty stable. Their economy is humming along quite well. We have +3 weapon upgrades being researched by Apocalypse, and also +1 armor upgrades. So Apocalypse does have the upgrade advantage, I believe, because attacks are better than defenses, because attacks do more than armor upgrades. And it looks like 2 Hellions will go down from that Siege Tank blast. Another one is destroyed. Apocalypse is trying to find a good place to get a concave, and here is the battle. The Hellbats are going to charge forward for Apocalypse. The Hellbats are stuck behind for QXC, and so it's not great positioning for QXC. A lot of the Siege Tanks are taking all the brunt of that artillery fire. The Thors have been destroyed quite easily. And it looks like the ground forces have been decimated on both sides, but QXC still has control of the air. And that encounter was a little bit strange, because if QXC had his Hellbats actually in the front of the siege tanks, I think that encounter would have went a little bit better, but Apocalypse had his Hellbats in front, so I think the encounter did go a little bit better for Apocalypse because of the positioning. Now, both players are fairly even in supply. Resources lost is also fairly even. If QXC can get his 4th base up and running, I think the game will be fairly even here. Now, this 4th base for Apocalypse, if it keeps going this way unchecked, I think Apocalypse can easily economically overthrow QXC. And you hate to lose games that way, but it is what it is. +3 weapons is almost finished for Apocalypse. The scan does go down, and who is going to siege first? QXC is going to be fleeing, so the siege tanks, 3 siege tanks get picked off for free. QXC is running up that ramp, and now the tanks are going to siege up. But unfortunately, there's not that many forces here. The Vikings are going to land and try and provide some other support. The tanks aren't even going to siege up for Apocalypse. SCVs have been called off the line. The Hellbats are going to make quick work of them. And QXC is going to tap out. Oh, that was a fast confrontation there. And Apocalypse is going to win it all. He's going to win the series 3-1 in this best of 5 in the final. He's going to claim the $2,000 prize. So congratulations to Apocalypse, able to defeat QXC in the final. So interesting set of games. Not much to say. TVTs are fun to watch. They're fun to cast. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope to see you guys next time.